Hello again, I'm Senator Derek Kilmer from the 26th Legislative District, which stretches from the Narrows Bridge to downtown Bremerton. Welcome once more to my weekly video update from the state capitol. I've gotten a lot of phone calls and emails in the last week about the Senate's decision to suspend Initiative 960 until July of 2011. Right off the top, I want to let you know that I voted against this bill and in favor of retaining I-960's protections for taxpayers. I want to tell you why. As you're likely aware, our state is facing a budget crisis more severe than any since the Great Depression. And it's due to an economic meltdown that's opened budget holes in 47 other states, most of which have raised taxes to help fill the gap. Our shortfall has now reached $2.7 billion. So I understand why some of my colleagues have sought to suspend I-960's supermajority vote requirements in the legislature for new taxes. Like me, they want to make sure we can afford to write a budget that reflects our values. That means fulfilling our constitutional obligation to invest in education. That means shoring up public safety and providing a safety net for people with disabilities and genuinely vulnerable citizens to catch them when they fall. When I was elected more than 5 years ago, I said I'd go to Olympia and fight for these priorities and others to create jobs and support our veterans. These values don't change just because we have a budget shortfall. And on many of these issues, my colleagues and I are in perfect agreement. Like them, I believe the legislature has gotten off to a solid start in cutting the budget first. We've passed bills to cut the state payroll, extend a salary freeze to many state employees, and curtail out-of-state travel, equipment purchases, and the filling of open positions. We've also voted to eliminate, suspend, or consolidate almost 100 boards and commissions. Again, this was a good start, but in my book, we've got to go much further. I think we've got to do three things. First, I think we have an obligation to prioritize. The state cannot afford to do everything. The state needs to prioritize just like our families and our businesses do. We've simply got to tighten our belts even more. Second, I think we need to look for opportunities for reform. During tough times like these, we have an opportunity to make smart reforms, to invest taxpayer dollars more wisely than ever before. Those of you who saw my update last week heard about some of the reforms I'm trying to make in the higher education arena. And finally, we need to be conscious of the economy that we're in and avoid taking steps that would impede our economic recovery. I'm conscious of the fact that government isn't unique in the challenges it faces. I think it's important that we realize that what's happening in Olympia is no different than what's happening around your kitchen table. Many of you are struggling to make ends meet, but are forced to cope without the benefit of being able to increase your take-home pay by snapping your fingers. And it's no different than the challenges facing small businesses in our neck of the woods. Many of our small businesses are just barely hanging on. We need to make sure that they aren't negatively impacted. For me, much of this is driven by what I do when I'm not in Olympia. I work in economic development. My focus has always been on growing jobs, not on growing taxes. Folks, we've got to get this economy moving. Before I go, I'd like to remind you one last time that this Saturday, February 20th, I'll be holding town halls in Bremerton, Port Orchard, and Gig Harbor. From noon to 1:30, I'll be at the Bremer Center at Olympic College in Bremerton. From 2 to 3:30, I'll be at Givens Community Center in Port Orchard. And from 4 to 5:30, I'll be in the Peninsula High School Auditorium in Gig Harbor. I sincerely hope you'll mark your calendar and tell your friends. The legislature is about to enter its final weeks. Now is an opportune time to tell us how you feel. In the meantime, you're free to call my office or send me an email to let me know what's on your minds. Thanks for watching, and I'll check back next week with another update.